It starts with something most men never expect. Not the flashy car, not the perfectly tailored suit, not the impressive career or bank account. It's something far quieter, but far more dangerous to ignore: your boundaries. See, a man without boundaries is like a house with no locks on the doors. Anyone can walk in, anyone can leave a mess, anyone can take what they want, and sooner or later, someone will burn it down just to see if they can. That's the unsettling truth most men learn too late. Women don't respect a man they can control. They don't trust him, they don't admire him, and they certainly don't choose him. High-value women? They don't waste their time trying to fix or lead a man without a spine. They're drawn to something else entirely: a quiet strength, an invisible line in the sand. The kind of man who doesn't announce his boundaries, he simply lives them. But here's the kicker. If you've been conditioned to please, to avoid conflict, to keep the peace at any cost, this might feel unnatural at first. It might even feel cruel. But trust me, there's nothing cruel about protecting your peace. Let's begin where most men fail: your time. Women are masters of attention. They understand its currency. So when you give your time freely to someone who hasn't earned it, you're signaling something deeper. Then you realize, you're saying, my time doesn't matter. I don't matter. Powerful boundary number 1. Your time is earned, not owed. The man who guards his time becomes infinitely more attractive because he signals purpose. He signals standards. The woman who's used to instant replies, endless availability, and the constant validation of desperate men pauses when she meets you. Why? Because now she has to wonder if she's earned it. And curiosity, my friend, is the root of desire. Humor me for a second. How would your life change if you treated your time like a luxury car? Not everyone gets a ride, and certainly, no one gets to drive it recklessly. But we're not done yet. Once you've set this boundary, something interesting happens. Some women, not high-value ones, but others, will test you. They'll cancel plans last minute, they'll show up late, they'll expect you to adjust. That's not a mistake, that's a probe. Which brings us to the next boundary: respect for your standards. When you let disrespect slide, you're training her not to respect you. 1 time might seem harmless, 2 times feels like an accident, but 3 is a pattern. And a man without standards, he invites chaos into his life, wearing perfume and high heels. Now let me hit you with a little pattern interrupt here. Have you ever wondered why the man she cries over isn't always the man with the biggest muscles, but often the one who simply doesn't tolerate nonsense? Funny, isn't it? The heart doesn't chase comfort, it chases challenge, and that's what these boundaries create: a frame, a standard, a challenge. They tell the world, this is who I am, this is what I allow, this is what I refuse. And high-value women? They respect nothing more than a man who knows exactly what he will and won't tolerate. But there's more. Much more. The next boundary? It's where most men fall flat, and it determines whether she sees you as an equal or a convenience. It's not about being cold. It's not about being distant. It's about having an emotional firewall. Men who attract high-value women don't offer up their emotions like free samples at the grocery store. They don't dump their life story on a first date. They don't confess their darkest wounds to a woman who hasn't earned their trust. Boundary 3. Emotional self-control. Here's where most men sabotage themselves without even realizing it. They confuse vulnerability with emotional dumping. They mistake authenticity for oversharing, and in doing so, they destroy the very polarity that makes attraction burn. A high-value woman doesn't want a man who spills his insecurities the moment she shows a hint of interest. She wants a man who can hold his emotions with strength. A man who bleeds in silence and speaks with intention, not weakness. Imagine this. You're on a date. The conversation turns deep. She talks about her past heartbreaks, her struggles, her lessons, and then she looks at you, waiting. Most men would match that vulnerability with a flood of their own. But you smile, you nod, and you share only what needs to be shared. You leave something behind the curtain. You leave her wondering, what more is there? Curiosity creates investment. Investment builds desire. Desire drives attraction. Now, here's a quick reset to break the tension. You ever notice how the mysterious man in movies never explains himself? He doesn't unpack his trauma in detail. He lets people wonder. Why? Because people chase what they don't fully understand. It's the same with emotions. Control breeds respect. Restraint creates intrigue. But once you've mastered emotional restraint, there's another battlefield where boundaries are either reinforced or shattered. Your physical space. Boundary 4. Your space is sacred. This isn't just about locking your door. It's about who you allow into your world, your habits, your routines. The man who protects his space isn't afraid to say no to chaos. He isn't desperate to fill the silence. He doesn't invite drama into his sanctuary. When a woman realizes she doesn't have automatic access to your world, your home, your nights, your weekends, she learns to value that access. She learns that proximity to you is something to earn, not something to expect. Here's the kicker. The more exclusive you make your space, the more she'll crave being part of it. People don't respect what's handed to them. They respect what costs them effort. Think about it. Why is the VIP room always behind a red rope? Because exclusivity breeds desire. Now, this boundary leads us seamlessly to a deeper one. Because once she's in your space, the real question becomes, does she respect your purpose? This next boundary separates men who are chosen from men who are used. It's not about your job title, it's not about your paycheck. It's about your mission. And this boundary? It's the one that either inspires loyalty or reveals her true nature. A man without a mission is a man who will always orbit a woman's moods. But a man with a mission, he moves with purpose. He builds something greater than himself. He answers to something higher than her approval. Boundary 5. Your mission comes first. This is where many men lose themselves without even noticing. They meet a beautiful woman and suddenly their schedule, their goals, their ambition, all get rearranged around her. They trade discipline for distraction, purpose for attention, progress for comfort. And at first, she might even encourage it. She'll love the attention. She'll bask in the affection. But over time, something shifts. Respect fades, attraction dims, because deep down, every high-value woman knows, a man who abandons his mission for her will eventually abandon himself. Think of the men women truly admire in history, in stories, in life. Were they driven by approval, or by a relentless pursuit of something bigger? Your mission isn't optional. It's the foundation of who you are. If she tests it by asking you to skip a workout, cancel a meeting, delay your progress, you respond not with anger, but with unwavering clarity. This comes first. And here's where curiosity spikes. Why? Because women respect what they can't control. And your dedication to your mission tells her she doesn't own you, she's simply lucky to be beside you. A quick moment of humor to break the heaviness here. Imagine explaining to Julius Caesar that you can't conquer Gaul today because someone's upset you didn't text back fast enough. Ridiculous, right? Yet men do it every day. Purpose over pleasing. Mission over mood. Discipline over distraction. Now, when you hold this boundary, something powerful happens. Not just with women, but within yourself. You become less reactive, less needy, less swayed by emotion, and this creates the final boundary, the one that sets the tone for every relationship you'll ever have. Your peace is non-negotiable. This is the rarest boundary of all because it requires not just strength, but wisdom. It's the ability to walk away from anything that threatens your calm. Drama, chaos, manipulation, emotional games. You recognize them not as challenges to win, but as traps to avoid. When a woman realizes that your peace isn't up for debate, that you won't engage in petty arguments, that you won't chase validation, that you won't tolerate disrespect masked as passion, something shifts. She either rises to meet you in that calm, or she fades away. And here's the cliffhanger you didn't expect. Not every woman will respect these boundaries. Some will rage against them. Some will try to break them. Some will leave. But the ones who stay, the ones who lean in, the ones who grow more attracted, more loyal, more feminine in your presence, those are the high-value women you're seeking. And these 6 boundaries, they aren't walls to keep people out. They're gates to ensure only the worthy come through. But there's one final secret, one truth about attraction most men never learn. And if you understand it, you'll never chase validation again. Here it is. The final truth. It's not about being the richest or the best looking or the smoothest talker in the room. It's about being the man who doesn't flinch when faced with loneliness. Because the man who is at peace with his own presence becomes magnetic. Why? Because he doesn't need a woman to feel whole. He chooses her. And that choice, made from strength, not desperation, is the rarest, most intoxicating form of masculine power. Let's slow this down. When you enforce your boundaries consistently, some women will test you. Others will walk away. And in those moments, the average man panics. He folds, he apologizes for having standards, he chases the very thing that was about to disqualify itself. But you do the opposite. You let her walk. Not with hatred, not with anger, but with clarity. Because a man who doesn't fear solitude, a man who knows who he is, what he stands for, and what he will never tolerate, is irresistible. He is what the modern world lacks. He is contrast. He is challenge. He is gravity. And here's the twist. High-value women aren't looking for a man to save them. They're not searching for a servant. They're not waiting for someone to orbit their every move. They're seeking a mirror, a container, a masculine presence strong enough to hold their chaos without being consumed by it. And when she meets that man, the one who protects his time, guards his emotions, honors his space, follows his mission, defends his peace, and holds frame through silence, she knows. He's not just rare, he's sacred. Let's break the rhythm one last time with a little humor. You know what's more attractive than a six-pack? A man who can say no without explaining himself. A man who doesn't justify, apologize, or second-guess his decisions. That's confidence. And confidence isn't loud. It's silent and still, like a mountain that doesn't move for the wind. So what do you do with all this? Simple. You don't just understand these boundaries, you embody them. Because women don't fall in love with potential. They fall in love with behavior. And when your actions say, "This is my world," you're welcome in it, but you don't control it. That's when she leans in. That's when the feminine softens. That's when attraction becomes respect, and respect becomes devotion. You've just been handed the blueprint. Not for manipulation, but for masculine power, for presence, for self-respect, for becoming the man women hope to meet but rarely do. Now it's on you. Will you build these boundaries into your bones, or will you continue living on the edge of your own potential? Because the truth is, she's already watching, already testing, already waiting to see if you'll finally become the man who doesn't need to chase, because he attracts. And if this message hit you hard, if it lit a fire somewhere deep in your chest, then subscribe, because this channel is here to sharpen you, challenge you, and call you into your highest frame. And if you're ready to take these boundaries beyond theory and into reality, start today. Pick one, enforce it, watch what happens. Because the moment you stop negotiating with your worth is the moment the world starts treating you like a man of value.